Alright, so we're moving into the next chapter dealing with the court system. Lots of fun. What's the judiciary's role in American government? Certainly know, if you remember, there's the executive branch, they carry out the laws, the legislative branch, they make the laws, and the judiciary actually interprets the law. Now, law would be meaningless if the courts didn't know how to interpret and apply the law. And certainly, if there's no law, there's chaos. Without enforcement, there's no law. So it's very important that courts have the ability to interpret the law. And this goes back several hundred years. Courts have what we call judicial review. And this came out of the case of Marbury v. Madison. And if any of you have read that particular case, you know it's ridiculous. Very hard to read. In fact, if any of you can tell me what Marbury v. Madison really is all about, feel free to let me know. But out of that case, we got judicial review. And this basically is the judiciary can decide, among other things, whether the laws or actions of the other two branches of government are constitutional. That's huge, huge power. Okay. Basic judicial requirements. Right. Let's talk about jurisdiction. And this is basically the power to speak the law. It's the power that a court has to hear a particular case. You have jurisdiction over persons or property. In persona jurisdiction or personal jurisdiction is when the court has jurisdiction over you individually, you as a person. Okay. Typically, I live in the great state of Georgia, so Georgia has personal jurisdiction over me. Okay. Because I reside here, I live here, this is my domicile. In rem jurisdiction, on the other hand, is jurisdiction over the thing, a piece of property, where the thing is located. So certainly if there was a property dispute, if you wanted to sue me over a piece of property that I own in, Florida, then you would have to sue me in Florida because that's where the property is located. Now that's where jurisdiction is proper, because it's over the thing. Long-arm statutes. These are very interesting. This is one way in which to bring someone into court. A long-arm statute, a court may exercise jurisdiction over certain out-of-court defendants based on activities that took place within the state. So you have certain minimum contacts. You write a letter, you send email, you go and visit a state. All of this could bring you into court. The court could decide they have jurisdiction over you because of their long-arm statute. You have certain minimum contacts with the state that allows you to be brought into court. What about a corporate contract? Believe it or not, corporations are considered legal persons. All right. Now I understand Walmart is not a real person, but it is a legal person. Corporation generally is subject to personal jurisdiction in the state in which it is incorporated, has its principal office, and is doing business. So where do you think Walmart has, or what state has personal jurisdiction over Walmart? All of them. Okay? Again, that goes back to minimum contacts. Such activities that will hail the party into court, certain minimum things that they have done that will bring them into court. Alright, what about jurisdiction over the subject matter? Alright, you have general jurisdiction and limited jurisdiction. General jurisdiction are courts that can decide cases involving a broad array of issues. Alright, certainly in the great state of Georgia, the Superior Court would have general jurisdiction to hear most matters. Whereas the juvenile court would have limited jurisdiction. Courts can only hear certain types of issues. Alright, so in juvenile court, the court is only going to hear cases involving juveniles. Look at some of the examples here. Probate courts. If you want to die or get married, interesting, you go to the probate court. Federal, if you want to get a bankruptcy, you go to bankruptcy court. Those courts are courts of limited jurisdiction and only handle those specific instances or issues. Original and appellate jurisdiction. Courts of original jurisdiction, this is where lawsuits begin, trials take place, and evidence is presented. This is what you see on TV. And then Court of Appeals are that next tier of courts. and they hear appeals. You say, well, we're going to appeal. It means you're appealing issues of law. Okay? We're trying to decide, hey, the trial court messed up by doing X, Y, or Z, and we're going to appeal those decisions. All right? Jurisdiction of the federal court. Two ways you can get to federal court. Number one, federal question. This is 28 U.S.C. 1331. Federal question. Any question involving a statute of federal law, you can go into federal court. Or 28 U.S.C. section 1332, diversity. As long as the two parties are from different states and the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000, you can go to federal court. All right. Jurisdiction in cyberspace. Now this is very interesting and probably fairly new. This is a sliding scale approach. You got to look at what's going on, what certain minimum contacts are going on. Oh my gosh, there's that term again. All right, look at this. 3 types of business contacts. Number one, substantial business conducted over the internet, contracts and sales. You have some interactivity through a website, and you have passive advertising. Which one of these is going to bring you into court? Well, certainly, substantial business conducted over the internet. If you're doing business, in Alabama with the internet, there's probably a good argument that you can be brought into court by having an internet business that does a substantial amount of work in Alabama. All right, but just merely advertising. If you buy an ad on Amazon, does that automatically bring you into court in all of those states where Amazon's looked at? Well, probably not. You have to actually do some business there. International jurisdiction is a very interesting issue. And the question is, in which jurisdiction are we? If we're online and people are looking at us in France, are we really subject to French law? Interesting question. Venue. All right, once a state has jurisdiction over you, venue becomes an issue. What court in that state are we going to try the case? That's venue. Concerned with the appropriate location for the trial. Which neighborhood? All right. I live in Oconee County. I have a car accident in, I don't know, Chatham County, down in Savannah. What court is proper? Oconee or Chatham? Well, probably Chatham. That's where I live. Let's say my wife decides she wants to divorce me. My wife is in, I don't know, Bullitt County, down in Statesboro. I'm still here in Oconee County. Where does she need to sue me to get a divorce? Well, in Oconee County. That's where the defendant resides. But venue is where we're going to try the case. And then we have standing. Standing is you have to have a sufficient stake in the matter to justify seeking relief through the court system. Alright? So yeah, if my wife wanted to divorce me, she would have standing to sue. Could her parents sue me for a divorce? No, they don't have standing. Alright? If I have a car accident, in Fulton County, alright, could my wife sue? Well, maybe. It depends. Does she have standing? Has she been harmed? I certainly could sue. Okay? There also has to be some controversy. Controversy that is real and substantial as opposed to hypothetical or academic. So you can't say, well, we're going to sue because this might happen. No. You sue because something has happened.